No, I don't have a presentation. I think Peter covered most of the horror of IPCC processes, but also a lot of the benefits as well. There's a few other just perspectives that I might have that are slightly different because I was involved in, if you like, the shorter processes. So I was involved in 2 supplements to the IPCC guidelines. So they took place over a much more compressed time frame of the order of 2 years, 2.5 years, and also the scoping of those documents are also much more, if you like, directed and focused. And so where the assessment reports are taking a very, okay, it's in 3 volumes in each chapter and so on, but it does take a very broad perspective on climate issues in general. The special reports are much more focused on what's in the scoping document, and if you're engaged on those, you do have to address that scope, and you will be pulled back. If you're going away from the scope, you will be pulled up at review, but also by the technical support used as well, say that's not in the scope. I suppose I'd highlight that I think Frank was mentioning earlier to myself that the rate at which the success rate of nomination is about 1 in 17. So even if you're ambitious and with all the horror story there, if you still want to get engaged and nominate yourself forward as an author, don't be disappointed. It's usually not personal, and you still have a very, very important opportunity when it comes to the review. The expert review process, and maybe you might get an opportunity to engage on the government review side of that too. Peter highlighted what we need to see in those reviews. I mean, I was on, as I say, the 2 supplements for the guidelines that I was involved in. I was a contributor author in one and a lead author in another, and even on the guidelines, which are very technical, very almost a niche area of the IPCC work, we still had over 10,000 comments on each of the supplements. They are heavily commented, and it is somewhat frustrating when you get an essay with no substantiation. You don't know how to address it. You have to talk with the review authors or the review editors, and you tease out what's meant to be what this person is trying to convey, and that's very time-consuming and frustrating. And in the end, that frustration might show through in the essentially deciding at the end, well, this is outside the scope of what we can achieve. So when you are, and I say when because I really do encourage you to engage, when you are making your comments, make them concise. Don't correct the spelling, don't correct the grammar, unless it is changing the meaning of what's in the statement, and that can happen. The comma is very important at times. But also substantiate what you're saying. Have the relevant paper reviews and so on. And each comment will be addressed, even if it doesn't impact directly on the text. You will be able to see how your comments were responded to and how they influenced. Maybe the text changes slightly just to improve the clarity so that your comment is reflected in that way. When it comes to, Peter also mentioned passengers, and I would put it slightly differently in that, and it's down to the capabilities. Some people, when they come to these processes, I know I was certainly initially, can be a little bit shy in the first meeting, and it is important that, and it is part of the process, that you kind of overcome that, and that you sometimes you also have to say yes. I mean, sometimes you have to present, I actually, you know what, I can contribute here. I'm a little bit unfamiliar, but I can contribute. But otherwise, you can't get excluded. And I did see in a few instances where, certainly from the developing countries, people tended to feel that they were a little bit excluded come the third meeting, because they hadn't been forward enough, I think, in some cases. But then you try and bring them back in again. Well, I think that's about it. I mean, it is a very rewarding process. You do have to read up, you have to be prepared to give that time. I was very fortunate in that the EPA had funded my fellowships and allowed me that extra time actually to finish off my fellowships at the end of this process and so on. But try and ensure that you do have the support of your host institution, for example, to allow you. These are exotic places, but you won't be seeing exotic things. You'll be stuck in rooms, in air-conditioned rooms, in the bowels of hotels across the world. You might get out for dinner one night, and that's about it. But it is rewarding. It does improve your network and your profile, and you learn an awful lot from these processes, way outside your own box, shall we say. Yeah, thank you.